All right, some of the most cursed places on, I say cursed personally, I just like it better, are tombs though. Tombs, cursed tombs.
Yes, I say toms. I don't say that.
Cursed toms.
Yeah.
There's some cursed toms in the world. That should be our next video, cursed toms.
Top 10. We'll tell you about them.
Let's do our global tour of the world talking about some of the most cursed tombs. And yeah, we're gonna
stay tuned.
Crazy.
To start us off today, we have the cursed tomb of King Tut. It was discovered in the early 1920s in the Valley of the Kings, an ancient Egyptian burial ground that dates all the way back to 16th century BC. The tomb was originally discovered by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist, alongside Lord George Carnarvon. It was a massive find that generated a ton of publicity worldwide, but it was soon revealed that the tomb had been protected by a curse. That stated, anyone who dare disturb King Tut's burial site would meet their end shortly after. And of course, this turned out to be true. Shortly after he first laid eyes on the tomb, Lord George died of BLOOD. In the years following, many members of the excavation team working with King Tut's tomb, as well as those involved in the proceedings of the discovery, began dropping like flies, with no reasonable explanation other than the fact that they were, of course, cursed. Among the deceased was Arthur Mace, excavator killed by arsenic in 1928, Richard Bethel, Howard Carter's secretary, smothered to death in his sleep, and Douglas Reed, who had x-rayed the tomb and inexplicably died in 1924. Somehow, Howard Carter was able to walk away from the event relatively unscathed. He died 19 years later from Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 64. Whether or not that has anything to do with the curse, I will leave up to you.
Next up is the curse of King Casimir. King Casimir of Poland was a powerful figure. He ruled from 1447 to 1492 when he died, and for centuries his tomb sat completely undisturbed. Until 1973, a team of archaeologists opened the tomb during renovations of the Holy Cross Chapel. When King Casimir's tomb was opened, they found decaying wooden coffins with the remains of Casimir and his wife Elizabeth of Austria inside. After restoration work, they were reinterred, but soon a number of archaeologists who were in the 12-person team started getting sick. And then they started to die. In total, 10 out of the 12 died prematurely in the following months. Rumors began to spread about the tomb being cursed, but was it just a coincidence, or was it really King Casimir's tomb that caused these people to die? Yeah, it was the tomb. A microbiologist investigating the case soon discovered that there had been fungus filling the tomb, which released toxic substances into the air known as aflatoxins. Inhaling them can cause liver problems as well as cancer. So in a way, the tomb really was cursed, just not in the traditional sense.
Next up, we have the Amenhotep Tomb curse. Like King Tut's tomb, the Amenhotep Tomb was discovered in the Valley of Kings in Egypt, but this one was found all the way back in 1898. Along the side of the tomb, there was an inscription written warning trespassers not to disturb the sleeping king inside of the tomb. Well, as you probably guessed, 2 years ago they disturbed him anyways, and in doing so they discovered something strange. While most mummies have their brains removed during the embalming process, this one did not. In fact, its brain was fully intact, which is super crazy. Also found in the x-rays was around 30 amulets wrapped up within the body and a belt covered in gold beads. So now let's go back to the curse, which states that anyone who is bold enough to steal from the tomb will not only lose their earthly wealth, but will also drown at sea, be burnt to death in a fiery furnace, starve to death, bear no offspring, and receive no funeral. Along with that, it says the perpetrator's bones will also perish, insinuating a rather unpleasant afterlife. So you're cursed in life, you're cursed in death. I wouldn't go near this. Straight and to the point, I'm really hoping that no one on the excavation team is a kleptomaniac, because I feel like this guy's tomb is the last place you'd want to steal from after hearing all that, but to each their own, I guess. Next
on the list is the Karun Treasure. So this collection of Lydian artifacts was held in the New York Metropolitan Museum of Art from 1987 to 1993 until it was all returned to Turkey when it was revealed that the artifacts had been purchased from robbers. knowingly. The treasure was found in the tomb of a Lydian princess in Usak province. A team of 3 grave robbers dug for days and then blew through the marble masonry of the chamber door with dynamite. The robbers made off with the treasure, but their lives would change for the worse. One man lost 3 of his daughters and sons. All died violent deaths. One man ended up being paralyzed in an accident, and the wife of the 3rd robber left him after his son took his own life. So, was the tomb of the Lydian princess cursed? Or do people desperate enough to dynamite their way into an ancient tomb for money probably have rocky lives to begin with? Share your thoughts down below.
Next up, we have the Mastabas at Saqqara. Mastabas meaning rectangular Egyptian tomb consisting of an underground burial chamber with rooms above. Saqqara being a necropolis in Egypt, which is basically just a massive burial ground. More than 160 Mastabas tombs have been found in Saqqara, and while some are relatively basic, some are a little more foreboding. In particular would have to be the Mastabas of Khentika Ikhekhi, which is inscribed with the words, "As for all men who shall enter this, my tomb impure, there will be judgment, an end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him." That's pretty specific and unique, I suppose. Many other of the Mastabas on the ground hold curses, but none quite like that. The most commonly seen curse in Saqqara would most likely be the one that invokes the anger of the god of reckoning and reads, "Cursed be those who disturb the rest of a pharaoh. They that shall break the seal of this tomb shall meet death by disease that no doctor can diagnose." Nice.
The tomb of Timur. Timur was a Turco-Mongol conqueror and warlord, founder of the Timurid Empire. He died in 1405 and was buried in present-day Uzbekistan. In 1740, a man named Nadir Shah attempted to break into the tomb. He ended up breaking the sarcophagus and took a jade slab from it, but his son then fell severely ill. Shah returned the stolen slab and miraculously, his son recovered. Now cut to June of 1941, and Soviet anthropologists led by Mikhail Gerasimov under Stalin's orders set out to open the tomb to confirm if it truly was the tomb of Timur. They'd been warned that the tomb was cursed, but they proceeded anyway. Once the tomb seal was broken, a foul odor filled the air, and just 2 days after it had been opened, Germany attacked the Soviet Union. Stalin, informed of the events, ordered Timur's remains to be returned to Samarkand to receive a reburial with Islamic rites. And just 2 weeks after the reburial, the Red Army achieved a major victory at the Battle of Stalingrad, a turning point in World War II.
Next up, we have yet another tomb found in the Saqqara necropolis of Egypt. Guys, when I said this was a massive burial ground, I meant it. The tomb of Hezi, while not a mastaba, can also be found in the area. And perhaps what sets this particular curse apart from any others is the fact that it does not only condemn those who dare to disturb the lying pharaoh, but it actually condemns the pharaoh himself should he be disturbed. The inscription on the side of the tomb of Hezi reads, "As for anyone who will enter this tomb after he has eaten abominations or after he has copulated with a woman, I will be judged with him in the council of the great God." Seems strange to stake your afterlife on the actions of modern day architects, the studs of the science world, but hey, may God strike you down, I guess.
Next on the list, we have the curse of Colonel Buck's tomb. Jonathan Buck, born in 1719 in Haverhill, Massachusetts, was a justice of the peace, and legend has it that he ordered a witch to be burnt at the stake. The witch put a curse on him, saying that his tomb would be stained with her mark for all eternity. As she burned in this fire, one of her legs rolled out onto the ground. Colonel Buck died in 1795, but it wasn't until 1870 that a monument was erected to him, and on that monument is a strange mark, almost resembling a woman's lower leg. And with every attempt to wash it off or even replace the tombstone entirely, it just keeps reappearing. Eerie, but kind of a lame curse. I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't care if you drew a leg on my tombstone, better than being cursed to die a horrible death or my entire bloodline being cursed for eternity. Plus, it doesn't even take effect till after I'm already dead. I don't know, this witch I don't think she was dangerous enough to be burned alive.
Next up, we have the cursed tomb of King Ahiram. The tomb was unearthed in 1923 during an excavation that took place in the ancient Phoenician city of Byblos. The tombs were revealed after a rainstorm had caused the collapse of a hill, which revealed a total of 9 rock-cut limestone tombs dating all the way back to 1000 BC, one of which belonged to none other than the mysterious King Ahiram. What makes him so mysterious? Well, other than the record of his name being carved into the tomb, no one had actually ever heard of him before. What's stranger still is the fact that along with the king's name, a curse had been inscribed onto the side of the tomb as well. The curse reads, "If any king or governor or army commander exposes this coffin, then let his judicial scepter be broken, let his royal throne be overthrown, let a vagabond efface his inscription." Well, lucky for those who made the discovery, they were not kings, governors, or army commanders, but archaeologists rather. The origin of the tomb, or the other 8 found at the site, are unknown, but evidence does suggest that they came from Syria, which makes sense given that they were found in Lebanon and they are quite close in proximity.
And we're finishing off the list with Sarenput I's tomb. Sarenput I was the leader of the Elephantine during the 12th dynasty. When archaeologists explored his tomb, they found an inscription warning against anyone who attempts to take any of the offerings inside it, saying, "His arm shall be cut off like that of this bull. His neck shall be twisted off like that of a bird. His office shall not exist. The position of his son shall not exist. His house shall not exist in Nubia. His tomb shall not exist in the necropolis. His god shall not accept his white bread. His flesh shall belong to the fire. His children shall belong to the fire. His corpse shall not be to the ground. I shall be against him as a crocodile on the water, as a serpent on earth, and as an enemy in the necropolis." Now that is a warning. If there's anything I've learned from this list, it's that I want to be buried in a tomb, and I want to have a warning like that on mine.
Yeah, I've learned not to mess with places that have warnings like that, and I buy it, you guys. Like, I buy into this a little bit, I have to say.
It's probably a good idea not to mess with the dead.
Yeah, even if it's all like coincidence, it's probably, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to touch it just in case. Yeah. Well,
okay.
Thank you for checking out this video, and we'll catch you in the next one.
That's right.